Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to NinjaTrader Live. My name is Jim Cagnina. Let's catch up on some charts really quickly here. We have the E-mini S&P chart. We talked about this morning. This is just the 30-minute candle chart. A couple new things on the chart that maybe you haven't seen before. I did add, I'm getting smarter. I'm catching up with the order flow guys. I did add a anchored volume profile from the open going forward. I have a session volume profile also on the chart. And I'm comparing the two, kind of looking at value areas, points of control, and all that stuff for any differences, any clues, any areas of interest. I have it shaded. Hopefully, you guys could see it. I know it's kind of covering. It's underneath the candle, but it's maybe too dark. I'll kind of adjust that right now, but not too much difference in the profiles. Actually, a little bit of a difference in that after the opening range, after the initial balance, even we have a pretty big volume deficit at the bottom. In other words, there's no interest down here. There still is no interest trading down here for this particular session. We did hit that one-day max, that Mentor Q one-day max. We just tagged it. I mean, it was a perfect touch almost, and that was at 57.40 on the upside. On the downside, the downside, we touched, guess what? The Mentor Q one-day min. Now, it doesn't always happen this precisely, but these are pretty good. These are pretty good areas of interest. I don't know the secret sauce. I know that Fabio does over at Mentor Q, but when I saw that today, I was like, "What?" Any event, fib lines in play right now. We have a nice 50% retracement on the session, right back to Jax 2. And if you guys remember earlier, I had my forecast rectangle here. We didn't get to it, right? We didn't get to my forecast rectangle. We had a whole bunch of areas of interest there that have since vanished for whatever reason. But I'm going to leave it there. You never know what's going to happen. But that was kind of my early morning idea. We rallied way too high for this to become a reality for me. I didn't expect us to break above R1, and we did big time all the way up to that one-day max, like I just said. So interesting times here leading into the big announcements, and I think some information is starting to trickle out a little bit. The CME Group's Fed Funds tool has actually slightly shifted a little bit to a more hawkish tone. They pushed back that third rate hike from a probability point of view on that CME tool, Fed Funds tool, from October. It was up at October this morning. Now that third rate cut is, from a probability point of view, predicted at the December meeting. So that did kind of shift today on this rally, on this move up, which I thought was pretty interesting. NASI, we'll spend only a second here on the NASI. I did the same thing, similar kind of both points of control right there. We did hit my my ellipse. We did hit my ellipse again, though. I was surprised that we rallied as high as we did, right up to that one-day max again, and R2. That's the pivot number. Came back down to a really nice 50% retracement. No surprise there. What's going to happen going forward? Who knows? We have a little bit of a green candle battling its way up. Again, real big volume deficit underneath that 19,482 level from a regular trading hour point of view. Not a lot of interest to be down in that area as well. Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting here is we're trading above that opening, not only the opening range, but also the initial balance, that first 60 minutes, the way that our friends at Edge Full define it, right where my crossers were right there. I mean, it was acting as support almost. And we're trading a little bit above it right now. We'll see if this retracement's like a textbook 50%, we rally back up or not in anticipation of the big event coming up in a couple, I don't know, it's supposedly 4 o'clock, hour and a half. Well, lastly but not leastly, let's go to the 10-year notes again. Another big surprise for me, anyway. We had a really nice rally going into the open. It was actually a pretty strong rally from a note point of view. Usually, you don't get that big of a burst early on for 10-year notes, but we did today. But then it just fell out of bed. We lost everything. We lost all the momentum. We broke back down, and this is, at least on casual glance, moving inversely to the stock index futures today, which I guess would make sense. From a retracement point of view, forget about it. We've blown through all of our retracement levels. S1 wasn't even a factor, but there's that one-day min again. that mentor Q 1 day min. It just keeps coming. It keeps popping up. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's a nice level. Jack's one right now is at 111.16. Well, that would be 111 half, so 111, 16, 30 seconds. Real quickly, just looking at this daily chart too. And why am I spending so much time on it? Because this market kind of anticipates better, in my opinion, and in my experience, than some of the other markets from a longer term point of view with respect to the economy, borrowing costs, and Fed funds. And now we're kind of breaking back down into my area, my long-term area of consolidation here in the 10-year note. We're below that 111 half, which was that Jack's number. So we'll see if this is, this is almost wick to wick, an outside bar, if you want to define outside bars from a wick to wick point of view. So looking kind of bearish here in the 10-year notes. In any event, joining us live this afternoon to trade the close, we have OrderFlow Labs, and I'm going to get this one right. We have Leo and Nick with us today. No Stowe. Hey, guys.
What's up, Jim? Are you ready for
Uh,
Liberation Friday or Liberation,
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
I can't wait. I have never been through one before. This is my first one. And so,
Listen, if you haven't traded Liberation Wednesday, are you a trader?
no. No,
I'm just
we're
asking the
not.
questions.
Liberation
I'm just
Day?
asking the questions.
Is Liberation Day
No,
safe to trade? I don't know. We've never really had one before.
I don't know. But the good news is you guys are up to bat now, and you're going to trade the pre-liberation open. So having said all that, guys, good luck. Have fun today.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
While Jim was speaking, we had a really clean look at a textbook retracement back to some MGI that's really important. It's all over here on the right. So we have the IB high right here, yesterday's value area high, and 24-hour VWAP, and then also yesterday's close. So we would call this like MGI Central. So I just jumped into this trade and got this nice delta print flip. I was already in the trade, so this for me is just like a confidence booster to hold this thing.
I mean, I guess we've learned off similar styles, and Leo, you being one of my mentors and somebody I've learned a lot from, I took the exact same trade. What is your entry?
Let's see, 14 and a quarter.
Oh, okay. So I waited for us to kind of peak above initial balance high, and I got long right there. So
I gotcha.
621 is my entry.
I gotcha. Nice.
I was hoping
Well,
to build it a little bit, add a couple more if we were gonna meander, but we kind of took off right as we broke above IB high.
yeah. Well, we can talk about how we're going to manage this trade. Yesterday there was some questions in chat about, how do you add for continuation? So I think if we get some good opportunities for an ad, this might be a trade that, like honestly, I'm looking for some type of move back up into the near the highs. I think maybe it may have some roadblocks here at 710, this little low volume area.
Yeah.
Top of value, developing value right up in here. But we'll watch it. I'm actually trading MNQ and charting MNQ as well. So the deltas and everything is all MNQ. So I've never done this before, but we're watching order flow from the micro contract. Elias set this chart book up. This is his chart book. I stole it from him. So I'm just trading what he set up here.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm looking at on NQ. I don't have one firing. That delta flip down there.
Oh, right here. Oh, this one. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one got you into the trade, but I wasn't really basing it off of that. I was looking more on the MGI, the rejection off previous day close, and then us pushing back above IB high.
Right.
And makes a lot of sense. I could see potentially some sellers stepping back in here right around 700s, but let's see.
I mean, they clearly initiated pretty aggressively over here in this, like when they broke the 730s basically, or 720s. There's just like a straight down leg, no fight from the buy side. So we'll see what happens when we get back up there. So I would trim probably up there. And then if we get a pullback of sorts, maybe a micro pullback, look to re-add to the position. So
Yeah, I'm gonna single because I didn't get a chance to kind of add into this as it took off, right
yeah,
as I was kind of leaning to long with this, but I'm gonna see if we can break above 700s and potentially hold this towards that anchor VWAP
nice.
from the high of the day.
I don't know.
Going to be sitting roughly around 745, 740s, probably by the time we get up there.
Wonder if Elias has this anchored view up. No, that's RTH. Maybe he doesn't have an anchored view up on this chart.
So my take profit is going to be that low volume node right there around that 700, 710. If we stall there, but if not, I would love to hold this for that 740 kind of spot. I'm just in one.
Right.
Kind of been an interesting day, Leo. This is like the third day in a row. I'm not kidding. I think I longed the low of the day and took it for a small, modest, good day type profit where you just caught the initial move. You're not greedy. You're in that trade for maybe 2 minutes to 5 minutes and you're ready to just shut down your platform and call it a good day and move on with your life. I did that again this morning with a long off 335. That rejection from the weekly open was something I was watching for. And I think we wicked it on NQ by like 2 points and then just took off. So I jumped along with that.
Yeah, I jumped in that trade. I actually posted my fills on the old Twitter sphere. Because I've been talking about the week open so much, people are probably tired of hearing me or seeing me tweet about it, I guess. I don't know.
I guess people are discovering the opening range breakout too, it seems, in the Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
I guess that's a new concept for a lot of folks.
Don't understand that.
I don't either, because that was probably one of the first trades I really learned was using anywhere between a 5-minute to 30-minute opening range. I mean, it's a simple thing just based on even initial balance is in the same principle of that. Obviously, your time frame changes a little bit, but for the most part, it's that same thing. You're just kind of trading with the momentum of the session, and it didn't matter what your time frame is: 1 minute, 5 minute, 30-minute. There's data to back up those breaks of those areas.
Yeah. I use the 5-minute just because it helps me slow down. Trading NQ, it can be pretty whippy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't actually take the breakout trade. I'll take the retest of the midpoint.
Yep.
So that's pretty much a plus as well. That's there's two major green lines on my chart from an MGI perspective. The week open and the 5-minute mid are the two green lines on my chart. Yes, the ORB has been around since the boys started in the pit. And now Pax would tell you that, because we were on Spaces last night with some folks. I'm gonna cover a little bit, just seeing this absorption at that 710 area. Pax was talking on Spaces last night, and he's basically said like, hey, the opening range, as declared by the pit traders and the CME or whatever, whoever basically has always been 30-second opening range. That's the only opening range, but you can use other time frames. Just you can't call it the opening range. Wink, wink. But yeah, I mean, any of those that give you context or a tradable setup strategy, whatever it might be, that's consistent and doesn't really introduce subjectivity, I guess, is a fantastic, that's a fantastic tool, whether it's a 5-minute, 30-second, 15-minute.
Yep.
The initial balance, even, that's the first hour of the session. We just took a long from a retest of that initial balance high.
Exactly.
Right. The reason we're looking for that trade is it's a breakout. That initial balance is the first hour. It's kind of considered a pretty important area or range. And so we break out of it and we come back to test it. There's a good, that's a great strategy, like breakout and retest kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. or even like that breakout, I guess, false breakout above it, and then we fall back in, and maybe we are in more of a range day for that session.
Right.
So
Leo, was it
it
one of
just-
you guys saying that you had started using the first 15 only for the IB? No, I've always used 1 hour for the initial balance. I did used to use 30 seconds for the opening range when I traded ES. But for me in NQ, it's 5 minutes now.
It's funny. I still use the 1 minute on NQ and the 5 minute on ES, but like anything else, I just feel like sometimes you flip it around a little bit, see if there was any touch points that made sense to trade throughout the session. And I don't know, I don't trade that break, but I definitely watch it a lot more. Like look for setups that were potentially there that I may have missed. I don't know, just something else I'm still trying to get more comfortable taking a side of that trade on different time frames.
Yeah, totally. Todd said deja vu from yesterday afternoon. Totally. I was actually saying that before we went live. You know, we kind of have a failed trend day, basically. And when I say failed trend day, we had single prints that have all been cleared out. We did retest the IB high, right? And we're still holding that. This is a 750 volume chart, and it's MNQ. And the order flow is from MNQ as well.
So far, Leo, we rejected right off that LVN at 700, 710s.
I know that's where I took a contract off.
I'm greedy. I was
guess two.
hoping for 100 points on this, so let's see if we fall back toward that area.
So something I like about Elias's chart is that typically I'll have like the delta profile, and then the session volume profile. He also has this leg to leg volume profile that matches the same rotation amount as the delta profile. So you can kind of see there's this LVN right here. So for continuation or to be able to add to this trade, I would look for some type of activity in here to see if to re-add to this position. Reason for the entry on the trade was there's the IB, the initial balance high, yesterday's value area high, and the 24-hour review up. So lots of MGI that we broke out from, and came back, retested, and kind of jumped in. I think started with one unit. I'm trading 2 lot micros right now, just volatility and all that good stuff, and then added on when we got this delta flip, basically. So Nick, you're still in your trade?
I am. I'm kind of watching this 670 spot to see if it holds, potentially either for an ad or I might just fold out of this trade.
Yeah. Well, Stowe had a 160 point banger.
I know. I'm trying
yesterday.
to one up him a little bit.
Right.
Hold for new highs. That's why I wanted 2 in this trade, but didn't get that opportunity. It just took off.
What is MGI? It's market generated information. So like yesterday's high, yesterday's low, overnight high, overnight low, VWAP. We just kind of group that into a bucket of information. Just call it MGI. So that market generated data, essentially. All righty. We're just going to meander up here. We're testing. We've got this overnight high right here at 93. Building volume. So one thing, looking at on a leg to leg, you want to see this two-way activity as we're pushing from a low. This two-way activity gives you a little bit of confidence that, there's acceptance up here. Now we can fall out of this, but building volume is a good thing when you're, positioned for a move. And for that move to continue, you want to see build volume, push, build volume, push. So we're looking for, kind of two-way activity where buyers and sellers are happy to, conduct business. What we don't want to see is an aggressive taper, right? So, kind of like an exhaustive taper that then rejects. That's a kind of a sign to get out if you're, or just take profit. Dom is short from the top. That's great.
That's a nice trade. I mean, do we see some? This is like my one worry about trying to long this into, I guess, the liberation close that we're going to have. But do you see some kind of just-in-time hedging for tomorrow's session come in during power hour that may send us down a little bit further to kind of retrace some of this move? But maybe we already saw it. Maybe that's what the liquidation from the highs kind of was.
I don't know. I have no idea, man.
Same. I'm just going to trade what's in front of me, but that is my only fear on trying to long into some aspect of event volatility. Is always, you just never know.
DC said, Leo, can you see my comment? Yes, I see your comment. Did you comment something earlier and I missed it? If so, I apologize. David's long from the bottom. You held that all day. That's
good for you, man.
Trade,
that's a strategy, not a strategy. I guess that is a that's something I've never been good at because like I said, I basically was long the low of the day on NQ and took 30 points and called it a session with a 3 lot on some minis. So that's a good day.
Crudele's in the chat. What's up, Crudele? We just took this basically retest of the initial balance. Got a piece off of it up here at the 710 low volume node, and I'm looking for an ad, to be honest. We're seeing some exhaustion. I may have missed it.
There it goes. I was kind of watching that 660 spot. Too slow.
Talked about it. Got the little exhaustion there.
I was looking at the delta on ES2 and it made me a little nervous.
Maybe they'll give us another stab at it. Oh, trust me, Kane, I miss plenty. I saw your stream this morning, man. Great job. All right, let's see what we get here.
Order submitted.
Nick, I heard Nick's order submitted.
Yeah, they're gonna leave. They're gonna take off without me, aren't they?
You got to mark it in, big dog.
The amount of times, or if I marketed in, I would have made a lot of money instead of doing limit orders. I've just never been that guy. Maybe it's the hotkeys thing or whatever. But I don't know. I always seem to buy on the bid. I guess on NQ or on ES rather, I can get away with that. NQ, it tends to bite me in the butt sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. So we talked yesterday, or somebody brought up like continuation trades. So our starting position was here. We get a nice move out, took profit, and then kind of get this little pullback into this low volume node from this leg. That's a great entry for an ad for me to continue. So what I want to see now is a new high, 720s. I'll look to take some of this as a scale.
And there's a delta flip, and they're probably going to leave without me.
We're going to leave Nick.
Leave the ad. Can't hold a runner. Afternoon trading is still relatively newer for me, so I'm still trying to get better at this.
Can you talk about your orders? I'm market in and out. And it sounds like Nick uses the join bid, join ask, if I'm guessing.
Usually, yes. It's very, very rare that I mark it in. Like I said, with higher volatility, I mean, I still trade both, but today I traded NQ. Yesterday I traded ES. It just really depends. Let's see if they're going to film me.
Please don't.
Did you get your ad?
All
right, I'm in.
Yeah, I've got a couple ads. What I like, what I'm seeing, and then again, this is MNQ order flow, so I've never used this in a serious trading environment, but I figure why not? There's a bunch of negative sell delta right in here. So for me, this is a great spot for being right or wrong right away. So like, I'm just going to pull my stop. If we break this LVN, definitely not looking for additional ads or anything like that. And I'll just stop out.
Where's your stop?
48.
Yeah, I may tuck it just under previous day high, which is basically my entry with the ad.
Do I use just this chart? I borrowed this chart from Elias. The thing I hate is that VWAP's right here, RTH. And I'm going to stop out before it. Oh, well.
I mean, if they're going to probably wick me out at previous day high. Watch this. After all that, if I scratch, I'm gonna be mad.
I mean, you could make an argument for re-entering prior day high right here.
Probably.
With this failed auction to the, this failed trend breakout, it kind of just ran out of steam at that, right here at that OVN we talked about.
Still alive for a hot second.
Stop filled.
Oh.
Nick's out. Wah,
And I'm
wah.
out. So basically a scratch on that trade with the ad.
I see a little 500 lot there at 49.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is what I didn't want to see. So I'm glad I cut it. Should have probably cut it at that first push to 700s where Leo, I think, covered his first runner.
Yeah.
And right back towards my entry initial balance high.
I think you could make an argument for taking the same trade again.
Yeah, you do have that high volume node at 600s basically from the last few weeks.
Try a couple. Just saw a smidge of buying come in right on the tape at that same area.
Yeah, Jeff, that's what I was kind of saying. Do we get that kind of just-in-time hedging in the last hour into Liberation Day?
Well, tried it with small size. Got my. Oh boy, I love that. I love that for me.
Wait, did you not get filled?
No, I did, and I got stopped out, and they ran it.
Oh God.
They ran it.
And right back to where I got stopped. So there's another example of. Wait, what was your reentry right at initial balance?
Like 24-hour view up, yeah.
Okay.
15 maybe. Let's see what we get. We are in power hour now. Actually, I don't hate it being short.
That's funny. Now
I don't
looking at
hate it.
this, I'm wondering why you don't kind of reoffer. We didn't kind of reoffer at 710. Kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we have a failed breakout, really.
Yeah.
With the exception of we're still above the IB, but trend day fail. There's really good excess on the highs. I'm gonna try to leg into a little short here. Get in at 51. I will add against this at up to 64. And then if we get some momentum, I'll add as well. Like I'll take momentum add, or just try to leg into this against this little low volume area. This is where the selling came in right here. So I want to lean against that. I'll just go ahead and put a couple more on.
Yeah, basically reverse, like right as you're coming into power hour too.
Yeah, I should have been more aware of that time change.
Yeah, just that. Algo turning on at 2 p.m. and stopping you out of a trade.
Now they're going to stop me out of this one. It ain't pretty sometimes.
Getting chopped up.
See, Kane, I don't always hit it. What's that, Merritt? I'm just going to take this same short again. That'll be 3 strike for me.
And back into the 670s. I mean, there was no way for me to still want to be in that trade, to take the stop out and find a way to re-enter, I guess.
Yep. All right. Been wrong twice. In the pits, you were always cautious of Liberation Wednesday. That's funny.
Wait, was this a phrase he coined himself?
Who?
Trump or whatever, like calling it
Oh, I think so.
today. Because I feel like until Monday, I had never heard this term.
Capital Liberation Wednesday. That's a PAX thing. So I don't know, ever since we got the turn, L period turn, the depth of market changed quite a bit. Where, well, I don't know. This is a really interesting spot for me. We trapped some buy side delta earlier. That's why this zone is here. We'll take a shot at it. I would have preferred to get the entry up here where this retest happened.
Contrarian Terra, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for being here as well.
Three in a row. Is that going to be it for me? We may have to switch to Nick's stream.
what? Okay, so trading your own account. What do you usually do? I'm a 3 strikes and you're out kind of guy in the morning session. That is for sure. Because if I'm stopped out 3 times in a row, clearly I'm not seeing something right, and it's time to at least take a few hours.
Oh, kind of liked what I saw there. Yeah, I mean, 3 out for me. I may come back later once I've cleared my head.
Yep. Leo, the black shirt makes it look like your head is popping off the wall on my low res screen.
I'll wear a different colored shirt next time.
Still just kind of meandering around these 670s.
Where's my target, Spence? I would be looking for a return back into the major distribution here, point of control. Looking for this IB high retest. It's been tested 3 times already, or twice. So I think on a 3rd test, it would break. Any shorts have been pretty tricky today. Obviously we had a trend day up. So counter trading that. And then it's kind of tricky in the afternoon when it breaks down, because is this just an afternoon pullback, to basically reload longs, or is this actually a reversal? And so it's just kind of tricky to figure that out. But we have a really good high, on the session. So I'm taking these shorts with the idea that, there's potential for continuation lower. We had this area of liquidity right here. We can see that absorption. that occurred right here, brought us down.
Full tilt for me. I'm usually talking like full size trades as losses. So if I'm scaled into like a full size, mini position on ES or NQ, could still be 10 points on NQ with like a 3 lot. It could be 15 points, could be 20 points. So that's usually like full size for me. And taking that stop out, that's a strike. So
Nick,
3 of those usually for me anywhere between like 2 and 3 grand. In my personal, I'm probably calling it an early session with 3 stop outs like that.
yeah. Are usually when you get stopped, are usually taking a full stop? I tend to scale a bit, probably more than you, I think.
Yeah, you definitely do it more than me. But since we've had, I think, a few offline conversations about it, I've been scaling into NQ more. Still not doing it on ES just because it's just the way I trade it, I guess. But NQ, I've been kind of building into that. Like if I'm doing 3 minis, like I'm building into a 3 and then figuring out the appropriate place for a stop. And I think we've talked about this. There's those situations where it could be 10 points or your risk is really defined, like us taking out maybe a previous day close or something like that. And it could be 17 points, 22 points, whatever. So I've been trying to scale in and then kind of define the risk from there based on, for me, usually, whatever that MGI level is that's closest by or whatever's kind of keying me into the trade that I'm expecting something to hold or whatever it is. But you kind of get my drift.
Yeah.
Come on, Liberation Day, do something.
Please.
We've had all this wonderful. I guess there's been some decent volatility today. Like we said, anything to the short side has been tough sledding unless you had a perfect entry because that's just a scream trend day up. But now it's kind of choppy and potentially reversing a little bit. I don't know.
Just need to break these 640s.
Yep. It's really interesting to see the difference in Delta Map a little bit from NQ to
MNQ.
MNQ.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but there is differences. It's kind of just something because I cross trade when I trade micros. So I'm
Right.
switching,
Same.
I guess, NQ.
Yeah. Right. Don't love what I'm seeing, to be honest. If I was Merritt, I'd be trying to scratch out of this trade.
Interesting. There's a fan of like 100 to 150 lots between 715 on ES to 720. All kind of stacked.
Stowe said the Delta profile comparison is super interesting between mini and micro.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few folks in OFL that are actually using micro, like the order flow from the micros. Hold 74 and 600 and thinks he thinks we close on the highs. Yeah, you're probably not wrong there.
Coming into end period, I think we need to do another call to close segment.
Do we?
Why not? It's Liberation Day.
Liberation Day, call to close.
I'm feeling it's gonna be weird. So I say that as if we're not just gonna close probably right around settlement around 600 as it is. And then something weird will happen after hours.
Right. Everyone thinks. Can we get a poll in the chat on, are we closing at the highs or are we closing lower?
So are you saying highs around 875s, 900s?
Yeah, I mean, well, near the session highs would be, yeah, 800s.
Okay.
Lower, lower, lower. New all-time highs. That's a thing. That would be liberation. It wouldn't be liberation for shorts.
It'd be an extinction event.
There we go. Are we going to need to fade the chat here? 66% say lower. Ooh.
I mean, we're only 13% off the all-time high, so why not?
JS says, I use the order flow from the Alaskan fish futures to trade NQ. That's an interesting strategy.
72% say lower, Leo.
I'm going to cover some of this short just so I can bag a little bit of a win.
Long based on that data.
Well, we're going to delta flip here, right as you said that. Trader Kane, that would be a miracle.
Contrarian Terra, no, I don't really use Bookmap. Every once in a while, I'll throw it on another screen, but for the most part, I don't look at it like day in and day out. It's something every once in a while I just take a peek at, but not something I use. I can see that information everywhere else too. Just don't need to visualize it the same way.
73% say we close at the lower. That's a
Kane. Yeah, I'd probably call it a year too, right? If that were to happen.
I'd quit trading.
It literally would be that humbling moment of like, clearly I know nothing and I'm gonna take a break.
Merritt, where are you long from, buddy? Spill the tea. Are you long from the IB high? Breakout, retest. Same view up you tried. God, see? I had a bad entry and my stop was too tight. When you say delta flip, it's just this delta star here. Basically, so like there's more conditions to it, but when we go from consecutive, basically constant sell to flip to buy side, then it'll print a star. But it's not just that simple. There's more to that story as far as filtering. You jump back in. Yeah, that's what I should have done. But, I'm trying to be conservative, Leo, on the stream. So this is kind of interesting. We have pushed up. We're kind of walking this back down and building volume as we do it. Grinding lower.
Mm-hmm.
So chopping, I like this look. I'll say that. I would be a better trader if I streamed every day as well, Merritt, for sure. But every once in a while, I'd let the inner Leo slip on a stream.
I think we all have. Anyone that's streamed live in front of a lot of people probably feels that way.
Okay, so I'm going to take another one here. This is one of our speed of pace of tape tools. Is basically monitoring the speed of the tape. And now we're getting a delta flip. So that's kind of two, signals that we're seeing that buyers are trying to step up, lift this market up. And so for me, taking covers into those are another way I use the tools that we built. As someone that streams every day, it's tough having chat tell you they bought and sold the high low every single day. That's so real. Tell us more about the inner Leo. It's just the the extra aggressive trader version of Leo.
The one that may or may not every once in a while pay for his broker's dinner.
Absolutely.
That Leo.
Stowe said if I'd streamed every day, I'd probably never curse again. Amen. You'd become a saint. I love sitting in this 2 lot. It's a micro trade. And if we do break these 09s, I will add to look for a momentum push lower. That's my plan. Is it harder to trade when people are watching? Yes, it is. That's, I think, why it would make me a better trader, because I would have to, one, be more disciplined, but two, trading with or in front of other people forces you to explain more about what you're doing. And that requires you to be more cognitively aware of what's driving your trading besides the emotional aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's tornado season where I live too. We had a tornado watch yesterday that we didn't have any issues. No issues around us being judged. Yeah, I don't really worry about being judged because I don't know. I can't worry about that. I mean, trading is part of trading includes losing, not losing, taking getting stopped out. That's part of trading. I took 2 stop outs on the short and here, and then 1 stop out here. But I mean, I don't feel any certain way about it. I had a very valid reason for the trades. I just happened to get stopped out.
And that's the name of the game too, because there's the other side where it's like, if you're in that small dark room trading alone, like you're locked in, you're just kind of in that zone. But when you're then trying to articulate what's happening, engaging with, let's say, a chat or whatever it is, and it's just another like lever of distraction that kind of takes you out of that zone. If you're reading price action or whatever concept kind of works for you, when you suddenly take yourself out of that zone and have to then talk about it while you're trading, while you are actively managing a trade, it's just a whole nother like weird mental side of doing this. It's weird. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just it's completely different than just trading alone in the dark room.
I never thought that I would see the day where Merritt Black would be in the chat saying, "Come on, Trump daddy. Daddy needs you." That's next level.
Liberation Day brings out a new side of everybody.
It brings out a new side of Merritt. So I got stopped on those last 2. I'll chill out and we'll see what happens here in the last 6 minutes of L period. and then see if we get another setup or not. Nick, I don't know if you want to switch to your screen.
We absolutely can behind the scenes, but I've said something very similar to that before. I think when the tariff tweet bombs started, where we're in like a slow consolidation period of the session, and you're just like, come on, Trump, just tweet something. I'm short near the highs. Like you're just wanting something to happen, trying to manifest a tweet from the president that's going to provide downside for your trade.
And this second time they've stopped me out and run this thing. I love it.
No L period stat today, Leo.
That's right. And we have a really tight balance. That's a lot of fun.
I mean, we've been in this 100-point range, if that, maybe 80, since we came on.
Right. Yeah, we had that push up and now just chop. It's really tightening up now. So for me to take a trade in here would be dumb. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, we'll see if anything comes out of the period change here in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is wait for some type of change in activity. Hit the like button. Crudele says he demands it. He runs the show.
Yeah, 450 people in here, less than 100 likes. Everyone do your job. Press that button.
I pressed it. I said yesterday, if you don't press the button yourself, then are you even watching?
Right. If you don't press it, Stowe's going to come back on tomorrow and sing more Creed. So either way, we may all want him to still do that. So still press that thumbs up button.
Okay, and I want to hit that sell button just as much as you do, brother. Don't diddle in the middle though, and we're in the middle of a chop fest. Can't bring myself to do it. Yeah.
What, press the red button?
Press the sell button.
Not yet. I got to wait 2 more minutes to see what happens.
Can we get
Lean
Nick's
Hogs
volume?
wild ride today. I mean, if the market didn't close as 130, I would throw on the cowboy hat and we would trade some lean hogs. We'd build a chart book for lean hogs and trade it on air. But unfortunately, that market closes.
Now, what I think would be funny is if we rallied to the balance highs, 20,104. I still like this LVN here.
You think Liberation Day is going to send us another 400 points?
Why not?
I mean, absolutely, I could see it. But I don't know. Let's see. I guess we see, does he walk back certain things? Or do we finally get some aspect of direction with tariffs?
I'm going to try this short here, right here at the top of this. little balance. I'm doing it for Kane. Got the Delta flip. Sellers trying to hit this market at the top of the range, this little chop range we're in. See if we can't get a little counter scalp. There we go.
Ooh.
There we go.
There's the end period. I was like, what happened? And that was
Took
a
one
quick
off.
30-point flush.
Do we get continuation now or more chop?
Chop till MOC. Sounds about right.
ES is basically trying to push against yesterday's high and overnight high. See all this offer delta coming in right here at 700? Just makes me like, I don't know. They're loading the 700s. There's just so much buying.
Yeah, it's
The bid is very strong right now.
yes, looks good too.
All right. Well, we got a piece of that off.
Now it's going to go to the dang anchored VWAP from that high. All right, Leo, back to the scene of the crime where that first reoffer came in when you and I were coming on air.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to change my poll response here. I guess we should have faded the chat, Leo. There's plenty of time, though.
You think?
In 30 minutes to potentially rotate back towards 600 and possibly break it. I mean, yeah, Liberation Day. Don't rule anything out.
So I'm trying this short again at 14. Got a little bit of exhaustion when we saw that push up into this LVN, but it's just going to continue to run.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I can do about that. Got to take the setups that I would take day in and day out. Put a little piece on. You know, I'm basically a quarter, very small on these trades, so I don't really mind taking small paper cuts. We're just really not. Obviously, I'm on the wrong side of this, so I'm not gonna keep trying to fight it. But I don't really mind taking the small paper cuts. It's just the frustrating part of trading sometimes, especially in the afternoon.
Yeah, even on my entry, looking to long off Bishop Balance High, I mean, they gave me 2 shots to get back into that trade. I didn't take either.
Appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate it. Yeah, I probably, you know what? This trade was a mistake to not re-enter or yeah, I think that was a mistake. But it just happened so fast. I just caught off guard. nothing I could do.
I mean, if they go run those highs, that's pretty wild.
That's a long ways up there, man.
I know. It's another 150 points.
Do you think because you got ran out of it, you flipped bias from not being in it? No, I don't think so. I think, the way I looked at this, getting stopped out here, I would take this as a reoffer, regardless of this being in this long. I would take this trade every time because basically we had built a low volume node in here on this leg, and we did get some selling. So I would have taken that trade, being whether I took this long or not, right?
Oh, what to do?
I would have preferred to just stay long,
I know. That's still what I want to do, but I'm tempted to short this right now.
Nick's got the itch. Don't do it, Nick.
I probably shouldn't, because I mean, we were consolidating down there. It goes against everything because we rejected. We're holding above previous day close, previous day high, just a balance high, and my read was long coming on air. So I should not try to short this because it goes against everything I was trying to do when I first was looking at this at 130. But this is a trade I need to get better at, which is there were opportunities to get back in. There was opportunities to buy this a little bit higher than my initial entry and just continue that read that I had, where you got a small pullback for this most near break or most recent break. You pulled back in the 660s, which is where I think I had that initial ad when I was first long in the trade. So it's like there was an entry there that I could have taken to try to join along with this breakout. I'd rather sit out than flip my bias and get run over here shortly.
Yeah, I think Kane brought up a good point about, he said sometimes fun if I was just long, I'd avoid some of the short setups waiting for my target to get hit.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's a good point to be made about that. Like if you got long and you get stopped out, like obviously you open yourself up to, taking potentially the opposite side of that trade. But if you were long, obviously you're not taking that trade.
Yeah,
That's
you're
one of the
still
reasons
sitting.
that I like to turn some of my trades into runners.
Right.
Like try to hold those runners for, like 100 points. For me, 100-point runner is a great trade, but that keeps me out of, making poor decisions or just making mistakes otherwise.
Yeah. Maturing and trading is not trying to fade this.
Hey, Nick,
Huh.
if you were watching this show, what would you do right now?
I guess the first thing I would do with the 500 or so folks also joining us this afternoon during Power Hour is to hit that thumbs up button. Like this
Oh,
video
baby.
and subscribe if you haven't. Obviously, NinjaTrader bringing us a ton of new content intraday with all of us here stuck in front of screens, trading this crazy price action that has been the last few weeks. So if you've been enjoying it, if you've been enjoying hanging out with us, Leo and the rest of the crew in the morning segments, please do hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up button and show your support. It really does help us out. It helps the stream. And we very much appreciate y'all being here. And that's my influencer plug for the day.
Great job, Nick. I'm not a streamer. I'm not an influencer. I don't know how to do those things. It feels weird to ask people to like and subscribe to something.
It is weird. It really is.
Matthew T, you must have missed me getting stopped out on that trade from the 620s and stubbornly not getting back into it. How often do you go live for the close? We're on Monday through Thursday. There's a group of us that rotate between myself, Nick, Stowe, and Elias, and XYZ. I'm not a streamer, dude.
Leo, gonna have to get you on air more with me.
Are you doing something on YouTube?
It's possible. I'm working on a few things. We'll see.
Oh.
We'll see how things manifest.
Interesting.
Yeah, I enjoy creating content with you guys. I enjoy hanging out. I try to take my trading too seriously, even though this is what I do full time for paying my bills and everything else. But I like to just hang out and have fun with everybody and, learn something new, hear from other traders, educate traders when I can, because that's what the best mentors that I had did. People like Leo who just offer their time and expertise and don't demand anything in return.
I've made demands, Nick. You just haven't.
You have. That's why Stowe was singing Creed yesterday.
Are you going to sing?
I can't sing to save my life.
Do you have any tips for someone switching from MES to MNQ? I have a lot of tips.
I think Leo's first tip is switch.
Yes. If you're trading micros, I would highly, highly recommend that you switch, because the commissions, the difference in commissions you pay in micros versus minis is pretty big. And in the NASDAQ, if you look at, just compare, I ran some numbers across all futures markets and took an average 5-minute range of, I think, a 7 or 14 day, the average 5-minute bar over a 7 or 14 day period. And then I took that range and compared it to the contract's value, right? So basically what I'm looking for there is total opportunity over an average 5-minute bar, essentially. So kind of trying to find out what markets provide the most range over an average 5-minute bar, if you will. NQ has the most opportunity in any 5-minute period versus other market. And so if you're trading micros, which a lot of folks do nowadays, I think it's not a bad thing, is trade the markets with the best opportunity. Man, then we just got a great short opportunity right there. And so I would encourage you to take a look at MNQ, first of all, but then the dynamics, every market is different, right? Every market trades differently. ES, for example, is going to typically respect the levels and the LVNs, et cetera, a little more tightly to the tick. NQ tends to run those a little harder. And so you want to be prepared for some of your levels or areas to get run, but trades from those spots still be valid. And so I would just highly encourage you to consider looking at NQ or MNQ for that reason, because of the total opportunity, not only in a 5-minute bar, but the total amount of opportunities for trade setups in a given session as well are greatly increased in NQ, because it is a market that has wider ranges. Nick, do you have anything to add to that as far as MNQ versus MES specifically?
It depends on, I would say, where you are kind of in your trading journey, because the first thing I ever paper traded with was MES, just to kind of understand what I was doing, how things kind of move. And if I would have probably done that in my first few weeks on NQ, I would have ran away because the way it can move. But I think once you've kind of learned what you're doing, you have a good understanding of the way price moves, the way the DOM works, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's I mean, once I moved to NQ, I did kind of not go back to ES for a long time. So I do think there is something to what Leo is talking about in terms of, being able to capture price movement and other things. I just think once you get comfortable with NQ, you can kind of trade anything too, if you don't fall asleep trading ES like Leo does.
I'm taking a short here, 54.
Leo, the chat says you look like Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I'm going to give them a hell yeah for that.
Oh, okay. Is that good?
You know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is?
I mean, I know who it is. I don't if is that a
Is it
good
a
thing or a
compliment?
bad thing?
I would say it's a compliment.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah, brother.
There you go.
Man, are they really going to do this to me again? I'm just fishing for a trade, right? That's what's going on.
So now we have a debate because now there's somebody who says you look like the guy who plays Jack Reacher.
I could do that too.
I can see both of those, oddly enough.
The rumor is that Kane and I are brothers.
I would need to see Kane in person. But I can see it.
He's taller than me, apparently. He's 6'5". I'm 6'2".
Wait, Kane is 6'5"?
Yeah.
I would never have guessed that.
I never would have either. It's a fact, he said, not a rumor. How do you know I'm not British? I've just cleaned up my accent. You can't be brothers. We can.
We're still just marching up towards 800. I wish I was still long.
I know what's going to happen is we're going to liquidate into this close. I could feel it.
The Liberation Day hedgers.
Merritt is so happy if he's still holding his longs. Can I explain my trading style in 3 minutes? No.
I used to get that same question a lot. It's like that's a complicated question.
I use a combination of OrderFlow data from OrderFlow. Merritt is still long. I use a combination of OrderFlow, standard support and resistance, and auction market theory. Those are 3 fundamental parts of my process from a trading standpoint. Jeremy says, I get confused by who Kane is. Kane is the one that's the better trader. Cold
I would
Brew
love to see
says,
that trade
slap
off.
it, you beautiful man.
But the thing with a trade-off, like it's actually like watch something. I feel like you both need to be given a random instrument to trade that you don't know what it is before Jim or me or whoever just says, all right, you guys are trading cattle.
We should do a
you've got
competition like that.
To analyze the chart from where we are for the session at that point and go.
That would be a incredible content, in my opinion.
I think there's an idea. Because it really doesn't matter. Like you guys both trade NQ, you look at ES, like other things, but throwing you just a random thing that you have no idea, and you just have to observe price action and market structure, MGI, and just kind of go with it.
That's I think that the other game that I've wanted to do, like as far as the competition goes, is put on a 1-lot micro at the Globex Open. And there's only one button you can use.
Reverse?
Yeah.
I love it.
And you have to trade it all night.
I've done it for the entire power hour session and made like 30 grand in fake money. I will say that it was 100% fake money. There was no capital of my own at risk. for just pure entertainment and content, but it's like a weird concept to do, where you literally can't flatten a position. You just have to continually read what's going on and adjust and know when to take some heat and when not to.
Merritt wants in. You want to get in on the one micro contest, Merritt? What does the winner get?
Bragging rights.
Do we have to stream it? Do we have to stream it all night?
We can stream it all night, and Stowe and I will add commentary the entire time. We'll do a Marathon Man stream just all night. Globex Open to New York Open.
What's the contest, Merritt? The contest is you put a micro on at the open of Globex, and the only button that you can use is the reverse button. Yeah, you can sleep. You can put a position on and go to sleep for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Free scalping course for the winner. Name the day and time, Merritt says. Merritt's itching. He's itching. That's a title.
See, there's good TV here.
Today, now.
Right now.
We'd have to prepare it. I have to sleep well.
Yeah.
But why not during the pit session?
Why
not during...
We could do it during RTH.
Yeah, we could do it during RTH. That's not a problem.
At least you guys have more movement to actually hit the reverse button versus Kane ready to go to sleep. Pick a direction and go to sleep.
Where are we gonna close? Chris from Trading Box has got his 780s. Hey, Merritt, that was a good trade yesterday. We were in the same trade together, but I added to that position like a bunch.
Like a 24-hour filibuster, have to wear Pampers. That's funny.
Well, I didn't get any banger trades today. I guess I was due for kind of a letdown day.
Yeah, I had 90 points on that initial long and came back on the ad and stopped me near break even. But gotta learn to get back in.
Do you guys stream in OFL Discord? No. Ninja live streaming house, and we all compete on the contest live. Oh, a house. Chris is talking, we are all going to a trading house and we compete.
Well, this has been a lackluster MOC into a liberation.
Yeah, really muted. Yeah, for sure. Crudele's, of course, got some things cooking, setting up for in-person NinjaTrader live crew. Merritt just took his first scale.
Barrett was long 620.
Same spot we were. Yep.
Yeah.
He took the same trade I took, and he got stopped like I got stopped, and he just re-entered. Are y'all going to trade the announcement? No, I'm not going to trade the announcement.
I tend to take my scraps from post event volatility, news drops, things like that, but I'm not I'm not big on trading that stuff. Earnings, all the other fun things. I tend to just stay away.
I've learned my lesson,
Same.
especially on the after hour stuff. The worst trade that I was ever, not the worst trade. I was in a position when we had a volatility event, the velocity logic kicked in. I think it was for CPI or something like that. And I got stuck in a trade for 300 points. Thankfully, it was micros, so it wasn't like serious. But yeah, I couldn't get out.
It was a sim account, but I had the wrong I didn't have a buy stop in during the news release and liquidated an account that I'd spent, good month building up.
Yeah.
I accidentally like sold a stop and yeah, just the wrong order type.
Some mistakes.
Things like that happen.
But
Just got to
yeah,
be careful.
yep.
That's why I just stay away. Those things are less likely to happen.
Right. Somebody's really cooking up a plan. They're going to spread bet something into tranches. The MNQ position. He's talking about this competition. And then reinsure them, then sell them on a secondary market, and then fractionalize those shares as NFTs. That's it. Thanks for stopping in, fat guy out west.
They got me. The NFTs at the end, just the cherry on top.
That was incredible. The complexity is mind blowing, actually. To put all that together.
Something blockchain.
We should open up a betting market to bet on the traders in the competition, have live odds. Merritt, that's a fantastic idea. A competition where you can bet on other traders. Firmament bills $500 an hour. Yeah, you could gamble on the gamblers.
I feel like Shane Gillis did a bit on that.
Merritt said that. I'm allowed to say it because Merritt said it. Crudele, don't come yell at me. Yeah, so we are going to hang out during the Trump announcement. So we'll watch the charts. I don't know if is Jim going to come on or are we just going to stream? Okay.
Little
We're going to
after
stream
hours magic here.
Liberation Day.
I'm a little shocked.
So quiet.
Yeah, I'm just
Nothing's happened.
I'm a little shocked. There's not even a hint of a move down.
But I mean, we
Bell.
haven't traded Liberation Day before. We
I know,
don't know what
maybe
to
it's the most
expect.
bullish event in history. I mean, I don't know. I mean, clearly everyone that would have hedged probably already knows what the announcements are.
Let's see, what's the chat OFL saying? Oh, they were short with me earlier.
Let's do this. The initial, not the initial. How about the Liberation Day reaction? Is it going to be up or down from basically where we're about to close? Let's call it here at the 770s.
Yeah, what does the order book?
It's going to be up and down.
just the perfect way to ruin anybody trying to trade this. Yeah, I would expect some stupid, usual spasm of the DOM like we would see in like a CPI release. I would imagine we're going to get something just silly.
Yes, it's still pretty thick. I mean, it's 60 by 80, roughly. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, it is end of day. So, I mean, there's a bunch of 100
Is it just a
followers.
statement? Is he actually like on
He's
air?
on the White
live?
House lawn.
Okay. I'm sure this will be a very calm, normal reaction to any data.
Not only that, we might get information about TikTok America.
Oh, really?
Did I see Amazon was considering putting in a bid?
I think we also have a $4 to $5 trillion debt cap legislation rolling through Capitol Hill increase.
Is that bullish, Jim?
Good question. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
Thanks, Crudele. Yeah, it looks like Amazon did or announced they were looking into buying TikTok or the US version of it.
I heard they also had a bid from some place called OnlyFans. I don't know what that is, but
You've never heard of it? Wink, wink.
never heard of it. But that did come across the wire. I'm not making that up.
Interesting.
It says Trump to outline TikTok deal proposal with ByteDance, retaining
Yeah.
stake. White House close to approving TikTok units. All right. They can't kill TikTok.
Are you a big TikTok
No.
guy?
My wife is.
I have
It-
never, outside of videos random people send me, I've never actually created an account. I have I guess no plans to.
Oh man, there's really good content. Really.
No, you lost me when you sent me the rage bait barbecue videos of brisket.
The whole
people
point
are
of
like
sending that to you is hilarious.
you sent me the one and it just made me like
That's the exception, not the
physically
rule, Nick.
physically angry watching this person butcher cutting into a brisket. They lost me forever.
I mean, n equals 1? Really?
All right, Tyler. I saw that. Take it easy. The president of Mexico, Scheinbaum, we will not impose a tit for tat tariffs.
But what will they do?
Good question.
Oh, here's a live feed.
Yeah, there's a live feed on Financial Juice.
Is he like on the lawn yet, or is he late?
He's like,
Yeah, he's late. He's late. The setup here is hilarious. Should we stream this?
I don't know if we want to freak out mission control right now.
Yeah, I'm not trying to disturb that. But
I have absolutely no idea what's about to happen.
The trading ladder on the E-mini S&P, 10 ticks up, 10 ticks down, have about 30 to 35
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
bids and
thinned out.
offers.
It's thinned out a little bit since the close. But I mean, that's normal for the last hour. The pretend hour.
It's like the midnight hour for teenagers. Nothing ever good happens after midnight.
Well, I get in a lot of arguments with traders about what happens in the last hour.
What's your side of the argument?
It's just irrelevant. Whatever happens. The close is at the RTH close is at 4 p.m. Eastern.
But even if there's like some big earnings announcements, does that
I
help or
mean,
no?
no. Because if you really think about it, what's going to happen in that last hour if there's a big earnings announcement is we'll open up in a gap, right? And so then you're just trading like gap rules, like a real gap. I'm not saying like a prior day open, a prior day close gap. So you open outside of yesterday's range anyway. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty rare to make a new high or new low in that last hour with volume, with meaningful volume. Because there's very little liquidity. So I was just prior day close for me is 4 p.m. Eastern. I don't consider anything that happens after that, like, the 5 p.m. settlement. I don't mark that at all for me. Like I've stared at the same levels for years and they consistently give actionable, reactions, I guess I would say. So
That makes sense. So what you're saying is it's that last hour is slop.
pretty much.
I'm with you on that.
There's actually a trade setup in NQ that somebody taught me. And you have to swing. So you would have to be able to swing a position. But and this would be outside of an earning situation. But if in that last hour we close that.
Trump's coming to the podium.
Okay, I'll shut up. I'll just say if we close below or above that prior day close, the RTH close by 50 points or more in that last hour, there's a fade trade that you can take into Globex. That has some pretty good alpha, like statistically speaking. Fade back to that prior day close, essentially.
So got a little overextended that extra few minutes and exploit that back to where we started.
Right. And the idea is that somebody desperately had to get out of a position and because of the little amount of liquidity available, the market just kind of overreacted, or there was just a move that wouldn't normally be there.
Interestingly enough, the equal weight futures are up 0.88%.
Have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades.
Now the chart's moving.
Yep.
Yeah. This might be better than a Powell presser.
I mean, anything's better than the last FOMC. Like nothing happened when we were on.
The dome is in the teens now.
This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before.
So far, it's just statements. He hasn't said anything.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happen.
Nick, is that you playing that, or is that streaming on the show?
Oh, can you guys hear that?
Industrial base, we
Probably
will
should have
try
asked.
open markets,
I can. I don't know if anyone else can.
foreign trade barriers, and ultimately
Okay. I didn't know if I could even pipe it in, but I thought that was just going to be in my ears.
I thought that was mission control.
That's what I did too.
I didn't know if it was going out, so I'll stop. I use what I sometimes use when I have a squawk, but for some reason that's coming through, I guess.
So Nick, put subtitles on and then read it to us.
Something about like, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Make America great again. I mean, I'm sure that's about where we are right now.
Yeah. It'll be better. So much better. Better than anything before. Bigger and better than anything anyone's ever seen.
Oh, I just didn't know if it was not okay, but yeah, I can do it. All right, guys, we're going to pipe in some sound to this speech. If you're watching it somewhere else.
Other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries, and in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers. And I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles.
Okay.
The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles. Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours.
What about the rest of it?
This
You
business
just said the autos.
than the
You're on
economy.
mute.
A lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
You're on mute.
That's not new either.
Honored to have you. Thanks.
Yeah, that's not even new.
President. I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was
No,
gonna be the
it's
best
not it.
president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump.
I was gonna
came
say
along.
that's the news then.
Well, the Wall Street Journal is reporting 10% across the board tariff on all imports.
Plant in Detroit,
Oh, okay. So it's lower than
closed.
what was
There
expected.
are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized. And
Yeah, if
Donald
that's it.
policies are going to bring
Jim,
product-
we're getting close to that 20,100
new
level that I
investment
talked about yesterday.
plants
Remember?
and the UAW
I do remember.
I brought
We got off
12
stream.
with
I
me
said
to
we're going to
represent
20,100.
We support Donald Trump's
Dude, we're like going to get there before we're done with our sentence.
percent. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank
The
you.
problem with this, I hate
What a great
with
guy.
a passion
Right from the beginning.
trading huge gap
Does anybody else
moves
Yeah.
over there? They
tomorrow
got it.
morning.
And, you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them, but we won Michigan by a lot. And I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic.
10-year yields up 7 basis points.
I'll tell you, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon. And you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. You see it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a 250 to 300% tariff on many of our dairy products. They do the first can of milk. They do the first little carton of milk at a very low price, but after that it gets bad, and then it gets up to 275, 300%. So when they're figuring what's Canada charging, they say, oh, about 2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like Canada, you know, we subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going and keep them in business. In the case of Mexico, it's $300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say you got to work for yourselves, and you got to, this is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years. And we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say. And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50. Actually, they charge different, from 50% to 513%. And Japan Our friend charges us 700%, but that's because they don't want us selling rice and other things. Who can blame them, Madam Secretary? Agriculture, great job you did on eggs, by the way. The egg prices came down 50%. You got them down 50%. Once we got involved, they were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now, and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. If imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first on line. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first. And I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before. And our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. It was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst deal, worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting text on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than think of this, than the Americans own of their own foreign assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem, emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off with your salaries. My auto worker friends and my Teamster friends and all of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariff.
So I don't know if you guys could see the
including currency manipulation
Euro
and
FX moving.
So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes.
Oh, now it's moving.
We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't
Yeah.
want big charts because of that.
So US dollar is
Fortunately, we came armed with a little.
well, it's kind of coming back a little bit. I mean, we had a huge in the Euro FX, we had a huge wick on the upside. Now we're actually breaking down.
Yeah, look at
Maybe
that.
they should get Lutnick off there and get Trump back on. You mean he has some peace coming right back down? So it sounds like
34% on China, Tracy. She just said 34% on China.
oh, I
Waiting
didn't
to
see
see if
that.
anything else popped up. Oh, there it is. 20% tariff on the EU. $34% tariffs on imports from China.
Where's the
Wow.
liberation? What's the liberating part?
I feel liberated. I don't know about you.
Do you?
No. I mean, what a wild end today. Coming right back into the range now. Yes, down to 56.38 and falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And falling quickly. Look at the micro Nazi go.
I'm
We're
just
almost
trying to
back down
keep
to
it on the chart.
19,400.
Almost to the opening range.
And gold just blew up, man. We're going to hit a
Chicago.
32 handle in gold any second. I mean, this is up $42 right now.
Really? Wow.
I mean, we had a 500-point liquidation on NQ on that and 150 on ES. That is wild.
Yeah, crazy.
Well, Leo, no gap.
Yeah. We might have one to the downside.
That's true.
I think that will be easier to trade than an upside gap because, you're kind of gapping into a downtrend. That's really tricky. And I think gapping down into downtrend is maybe easier. I don't know.
Wow. Super crazy. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around for an extra half an hour. It was data's still coming in. 31% on Switzerland. Oh my God. Your chocolates are going to go up in price.
%10 from
Many
the
of,
UK,
yeah,
32% from Taiwan. So there's your chips.
yeah. Wow. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for the extended time again. Great job today, checking out the close, explaining what was going on. So far, we've all survived Liberation Day. Tomorrow is going to be another day. So again, guys, thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here. Everybody listening, thanks for sticking with us this extra half hour. We appreciate everybody being here this afternoon. Tomorrow we're gonna be right back here, 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, NinjaTrader Live. We're gonna really dissect this more and more now that we have more information. So in the meantime, let me remind everybody, most important message of the day: please be safe out there and be good to each other. Thanks for being here.